Welcome to the 2018 Geneva Motor Show, and here, coming up, are the stars of the show. One of the surprises of the Geneva Motor Show has been this, the Porsche Mission E Cross Turismo concept. Bit of a mouthful, isn't it? Now, effectively, it's a four-seater all-electric Porsche with a range of around 250 miles. Now, if it looks a little bit familiar, well, you'd be right, because it mixes design cues from the Porsche Panamera Sport Turismo, the small little estate car, and the Mission E, which is Porsche's all-electric supercar, which is coming next year.
Welcome to a new Skoda concept. This one's called the Vision X, and it previews a third SUV for the Czech brand. It's going to arrive next year as the smallest offering they've got, and it's sort of a Volkswagen Group stablemate for the likes of the Seat Arona and the Volkswagen T-Roc. Though this one, when it arrives, will sit on the same platform as the next generation Rapid, so it's actually slightly longer and a bit wider than those cars as well. So Skoda bosses say that when the production version arrives next year, it'll look pretty similar to this concept. It's no great surprise considering that the Vision concept for the Kodiaq was pretty much a doppelganger for the production car as well.
Ever thought the Mercedes-AMG GT supercar wasn't quite practical enough? Well, you'll like this, the new four-door coupe version. And I have to say, it is a mad-looking car, isn't it? What with its blistered wheel arches, sloping roofline and fixed rear wing. There's seating for 4 people inside, and there's the usual Mercedes luxuries like a twin 12.3-inch infotainment screen inside, and just like you find in the GT supercar, a large centre console with lots of different buttons to tweak various things on the car. Executive saloon cars. It's all about the BMW 5 Series and the Mercedes E-Class, isn't it? Not anymore, because this is the new Audi A6, and you can think of this more so than any other Audi A6 in the past as a slimmed-down A8. And you can think that from the styling. It's got the massive grille that we first saw on the A8, and the rear lights are pretty impressive as well. Now, it's a little bit taller, a little bit bigger than the old A6, but there are still the familiar design cues, especially round by the rear haunches. It does look a little bit like the old car, which is a good thing. I think. You may think differently. But inside it's very similar to the A8 as well, so there's no longer the MMI rotary control, it's all about the touchscreens, and inside it's just a model of clarity. This is the Cupra Attacker, and you'll note I didn't say the word Seat because Cupra is now a brand in itself. Seat has portioned off the Cupra name badge and created its own performance brand, and this is the first of its efforts. Now, it's based on the Attacker SUV, as you would expect, and under the bonnet is a 2-litre turbocharged 4-cylinder petrol engine pushing out 296 brake horsepower, which is good enough for 0 to 62 in just over 5 seconds. On the outside you get bronze accents on the wheels, a separate body kit, quad exhaust pipes, and the new badge on the nose. Pickups are all the rage, aren't they? Well, there's a reason for that, because you keep buying them, and the latest one is this, the Ssangyong Musso. Now, if you think the front-end styling looks familiar, well, you'd be right, because it's based on the Rexton SUV. But from the rear doors backwards, it has a pickup rear deck. Now, it can carry a ton and it can tow 3.5 tons. Now, under the bonnet, there's a 2.2-litre diesel engine with a 6-speed manual gearbox or a 6-speed automatic. The Toyota Auris, the forgotten member of the hatchback class, isn't it? Not anymore, says Toyota, because this is the new Auris, and it is a very striking looking car, isn't it? It follows in the footsteps of the Prius and the CHR in debuting a new wacky design at Toyota. And I have to say the Auris does look pretty good. Now, you'll note that it says hybrid on the number plate. And with the Auris, there'll be 2 hybrid powertrains, not 1, but 2. There'll be a 1.8, which the Toyota Prius uses, and a new 2-litre hybrid powertrain with 177 brake horsepower. This is the Honda CR-V, and if you think it looks familiar, then you're right, because it's been on sale in the US for the past 12 months. But this is the first sighting of the European version. Now, there will be a 1.5 turbocharged petrol engine version, but the big news is the 2-litre turbo petrol, because it has a new hybrid system. Now, there's the engine under the bonnet, but there's also 2 electric motors. There's also a brand new type of gearbox. It's called IMMD, and instead of using a conventional auto gearbox, there's one fixed single gear ratio. Now, Honda says this reduces weight, complexity, and it also improves fuel economy. Now, this petrol engine is supposedly hopefully going to be delivering diesel levels of fuel economy. Whether it will or not, we'll have to wait and see. It's not just the Musso pickup that Ssangyong are revealing at the Geneva Motor Show, but also this, the e-siv. Now, it's an electric concept car, and I know we've been here before, haven't we? Because Ssangyong seem to trot out an electric SUV at every single motor show. But this one is far more important because Ssangyong is actually going to build it. Now, coming in 2019, there will be a new Ssangyong Corando, and that will have petrol and diesel engines. But coming in 2020 will be this, an all-electric Corando. Now, underneath the body, there's a 140 kilowatt electric motor, giving an electric range of 250 miles at least.
Volkswagen star of the show for Geneva 2018 is another ID concept. But unlike other ID concepts so far, this one's a bit more of a stargazing project. It's called the ID Vision, and it's intended as a sort of glance at what cars could look like in 2030. So there's an all-electric powertrain underpinned by Volkswagen's MEB platform. The figures are 306 brake horsepower, 413 miles of electric range, top speed limited to about 112 miles an hour. The big story though is that there's no steering wheel or pedals in this concept car. It's level 5 autonomous.
Volvo's reinvention continues with this, the new V60, and no arguments please, it is an incredibly good-looking estate car. Now, it is in sharp contrast to the original V60, which was a very curvy design. This, unsurprisingly, is far more like the Volvo V90, but unlike the V90, which has a very sloping rear tailgate, this is a lot more angular, and that really benefits rear boot space because this has a larger boot than the BMW 3 Series Touring, the Mercedes C-Class Estate, and the Audi A4 Avant. It seems like Volvo have returned to the days of building large estate cars. This is the Toyota Gazoo Racing Supra racing concept. Bit of a mouthful, isn't it? Now, we all thought Toyota would reveal the new Supra here today at Geneva, but instead they've revealed this racing concept instead, and behind the big wing and all the stickers and the roll cage, this is our first proper glimpse at the new Supra, a car which will return Toyota to the good old days of sports car making, says the firm. Lagonda, it's a name associated with some of the most elegant cars of the 1930s and 1940s, and now it's an electric sub-brand from Aston Martin. This is the first indication of that electric future. This is the Vision concept, and it looks pretty amazing, doesn't it? Inside, and it's just a sanctuary of fine materials. I mean, I've never been in anything like this ever, and I really hope it makes production enormous. Thank you very much. No arguments here, it is an incredibly good-looking car, isn't it? I'll redo that, sorry.